The night before my wedding, I found out my maid of honor, my best friend since 5th grade, had been sleeping with my fiance for 6 months. She cried. He begged. And I smiled. Because they didn't know I'd already canceled the wedding, emptied our joint account, and mailed every guest the real story. The best part? That wasn't even the craziest thing I did next. If you've never had a panic attack in a wedding dress fitting room while your best friend tries to FaceTime your fiance from the hallway, you're lucky. That was me. 3 days before my wedding, standing half naked in a sea of ivory tulle while my heart tried to claw its way out of my chest. And I wasn't freaking out because I didn't want to marry Ryan. I was freaking out because something felt off. Like, crawl out of your skin, check his phone while he's sleeping kind of off. And that wasn't me. Or at least, it didn't used to be me. But lately, Ryan had been different, distant, more absences, more excuses, more working late even when I knew damn well his office closed at 6. He started showering right when he got home. He changed his passcode. He called me babe less, and hey more. All those little changes you try to ignore because the alternative is worse admitting something's broken. And then there was her, Lena, my best friend, maid of honor, sister from another mister. Ride or die since we were 11 years old and crying in the middle school bathroom about boys who didn't like us back. She was the one who helped me plan the whole wedding. The one who made the playlist, designed the invites, and swore Ryan was the best guy I've ever seen you with. She said that. Swore it. So why was she texting him so much lately? I wasn't trying to be crazy. I didn't go digging on purpose. But when Lena left her phone on my coffee table and went to pee, and a message popped up that said, "Don't forget the excuse this time." She's suspicious. With a freaking winky face? Yeah. I looked. I opened the thread. And my whole body froze. Not only was she texting Ryan, she had been texting him for months. Flirty messages, inside jokes, photos that were definitely not meant for a BFF's fiance. Stuff like, "Wish you were here" instead of "her," and "you make me feel alive again." One even said, "We should have never stopped after Vegas." Vegas? We went to Vegas together last year. I swear, I felt my heart crack open right there in the middle of my living room. And then get this. She walked back in, saw me holding her phone, and had the audacity to smile. Like this was all some stupid misunderstanding. Like she was gonna explain it away with a giggle and a "don't be mad." So I did what any self-respecting woman holding a Molotov cocktail of rage and humiliation would do. I said nothing. I handed her the phone. I smiled. I asked her if she wanted Thai or sushi for dinner. Because the show wasn't over. Not yet. Not until everyone had a front row seat. And especially not until Ryan said I do. Because oh honey, he was still gonna show up. He just didn't know what was waiting for him. 2 days before the wedding, my apartment was a chaos factory. There were garment bags everywhere, half-drunk champagne bottles from the rehearsal dinner that never happened, and Lena's fake-ass laugh echoing in my ears like a curse I couldn't shake. She was still texting him, still smiling at me like she wasn't screwing the man I was about to marry, and helping me pick out centerpiece flowers at the same time. You know what that level of fake is? That's Oscar-worthy. That's wearing white to someone else's wedding fake, and yeah, I could have called everything off right then. Could have screamed, cried, gone full scorched earth, and told the whole bridal party. But instead, I chose a different vibe. I chose silence. Because silence makes people nervous. And I wanted them shaking. So while Lena was triple-checking the table placements, and Ryan was pretending to be at his final bachelor dinner, I was quietly moving money. Our joint wedding account, where we'd both been stacking cash for months, gone. Transferred. Emptied into my personal account with one click. I even labeled the transfer karma. Real subtle. I texted my cousin Layla, my chaotic good accomplice in all things petty, and said, "Operation Ice Queen is on. Time to make them sweat." She texted back, "What's the game plan, savage?" And I told her everything. The texts, the receipts, the plan. See, the wedding was still on. Invitations had gone out. People had flown in. I'd spent a small fortune on non-refundable nonsense. And the thought of canceling and hiding in shame made me physically sick. I didn't want out. I wanted revenge. So I made a new version of the wedding program, a spicy one. Each guest was going to get a special little pamphlet tucked into their seat, with a timeline of Lena and Ryan's affair, screenshots of their most disgusting texts, and one golden photo I found in his hidden album that showed exactly how close they'd gotten in my bed. Was it a little psychotic? Maybe. But I wasn't about to be the girl who got humiliated in silence. I was going to be the main event. And the best part? Neither of them knew I'd seen anything. Lena was still acting like she had a shot at Maid of Honor of the Year. Ryan still sent me fake sweet texts like, "Can't wait to see you walk down the aisle." I swear, I almost laughed myself into a hernia. That night, I stood in front of the mirror in my dress. Not the wedding one, the backup. A second outfit I bought on impulse, just in case. It was sleek, black, almost villain core. I zipped it halfway and whispered, "You're not the victim, you're the plot twist." And I meant it. Because tomorrow was showtime, and the real wedding gift was coming for them both. The morning of the wedding, I woke up calm, like creepy calm, like movie villain sips coffee while a building explodes calm. The group chat with the bridesmaids was blowing up. Everyone was like, It's the big day, and bride vibes only. While Lena, of course, had to be extra and texted, "I'm so honored to stand beside you today, sis. You deserve the world." I stared at her message like it was a roach crawling across my screen. She really thought she was killing it with the whole sweet bestie act, huh? Girl was practically glowing in her betrayal. Meanwhile, Ryan hadn't texted me at all. Not even a, "Good morning, can't wait to marry you," which, under normal circumstances, might have sent me spiraling. But not today. Today, I already knew exactly how this was going to go. By 10 a.m., the makeup artist was doing my face while my phone buzzed every 5 seconds. Family arriving. Vendors checking in. Aunts asking where to park. Lena was downstairs in the bridal suite, telling everyone I was just having pre-wedding jitters. Cute. What she didn't know was that my cousin Lila had just delivered 115 personalized envelopes, one to each guest seat. Inside every one was my little love letter to the truth. The screenshots, the photos, the dates and times, the freaking receipts. Lila even laminated the ones for Ryan's family. You know, for longevity. As for the ceremony, oh, it was still happening. Everyone was already there, sipping overpriced rosé and fanning themselves in the late afternoon sun, totally unaware of the grenade I had just pulled the pin on. I walked into the venue like I owned it. Not in a wedding dress, but in the black satin one I mentioned before, the villain core number, with a slit so high I could probably be arrested. My hair was sleek, my lipstick was red. I looked nothing like a blushing bride. I looked like karma with a blowout. The moment I stepped onto the aisle, the chatter stopped. Mouths dropped. Lena froze by the altar, her fake smile twitching. Ryan's jaw clenched so hard I thought his teeth might shatter. Someone gasped. Another person whispered, "What the hell is she wearing?" And I smiled, because every single guest had already opened their envelope. It was dead silent. I walked up, heels clicking like a countdown, took the mic from the officiant, cleared my throat, and I said, "Thank you all for coming. I know you expected a wedding, but turns out today's more of a funeral, for the lies." Lena took a step forward. "Wait," I held up a hand. "Don't. I gave you a chance to be honest. You both had so many chances, but you made your choices. So now I'm making mine." I turned to Ryan, who was doing that thing where men try to look mad to avoid looking guilty. "You don't love me. That's fine. You love yourself. And apparently, my best friend. But what you don't get to have is a perfect exit." He tried to speak. "You don't understand. I understand everything now, including what happened in Vegas. That spa you booked? Yeah. You didn't even change the email address." Lena looked like she was about to pass out. Half the guests were already whispering. A few were filming. His mom was flipping through the laminated packet like it was a courtroom exhibit. I ended with, "There will be no vows today, no cake, no bouquet toss, but there will be champagne because I just dodged the most embarrassing mistake of my life. And I'd say that's worth celebrating." Then I dropped the mic. Literally. It made a nice little thud as I turned and walked out. But not before I passed Lena. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "You should have blocked him. Or at least changed your password. Sloppy." And then I left. But the drama? Oh, it was just getting started. I swear the sound of that mic hitting the floor still lives in my head rent-free. Not because it was loud, but because it was the last thing you heard before chaos erupted. By the time I reached the exit, voices were rising behind me. One guest yelled, "This can't be real, right? Is this, like, a prank?" Someone else shouted, "Oh my God, look at page 3! Page 3! I didn't have to turn around to know exactly which screenshot they meant. I'd included the one Lena in my lace lingerie, laying in my bed, making that stupid duck face she always made when she thought she looked hot. The timestamp? 2 days after Ryan and I got engaged. Tasteful, iconic, devastating. Outside, the sky was stupidly beautiful. Sun golden, birds chirping. Very much not the apocalypse vibe I was internally experiencing. My heart was racing like I just robbed a bank. I could feel my pulse in my teeth. But on the outside, cool, composed, unbothered. Then Lila walked up, holding 2 champagne flutes like the absolute legend she is. She handed me one and said, "You really did it. I mean, holy SHT, girl." That was the most savage, poetic, powerful thing I've ever seen. I just exhaled and downed half the glass in one sip. How bad is it in there? She pulled out her phone. "Girl, there's a hashtag." Yep, people were live posting, recording, commenting. Someone had uploaded the entire mic drop moment to TikTok already. The caption read, "Wedding turned into Jerry Springer, and I lived." There were over 10,000 likes in under an hour. I laughed, not a cute laugh, like an unhinged laugh, because part of me still couldn't believe I'd actually done it. But the other part? The part that had cried on the bathroom floor 3 weeks ago when I found that first text. The part that wondered if I wasn't enough, pretty enough, fun enough, lovable enough. That part finally went quiet until my phone buzzed. And there it was, a text from Ryan. Just one word. Why? Not, "I'm sorry," not, "Please talk to me." Just why? Like he was the one blindsided. Like I'd burned down his perfect day for no reason. I stared at the screen for a solid minute. And then I texted back. Why not? Blocked. Deleted. Done. Next came Lena. 4 missed calls. 1 voicemail that started with sobbing and ended with, "You ruined my life. I hope you're happy." I didn't even listen to the rest, because honestly, I was happy. But don't get it twisted. Just because I looked strong didn't mean I felt it all the time. Later that night, when I was home in my robe, makeup smeared, hair a mess, eating cold fries and watching bad reality TV, the crash hit me. Hard. My hands were shaking. My stomach felt like it had been punched from the inside. The silence was loud. I was supposed to be married right now. Supposed to be dancing, laughing, starting a whole new chapter. Instead, I was alone. Technically free. But emotionally, still wrecked. I curled up on the couch with my face buried in a pillow and whispered, "What the hell did I just do?" And the truth was, I didn't know yet. I just knew it wasn't over. Because healing, revenge, moving on, that was gonna be the real story. The day after my ex-wedding felt like a hangover from hell minus the alcohol, plus a whole emotional tornado. I woke up at 11 a.m. still on the couch, tangled in a throw blanket like roadkill, with mascara crusted under my eyes and 1 shoe on for some reason. My phone had exploded, overnight calls from my mom, texts from cousins I hadn't spoken to in years, even a DM from a total stranger that said, "You're iconic. I'd marry you right now if I could." Cool. Thanks, random dude. Not sure what part of my public heartbreak gave off wife me up energy, but okay. I didn't reply to anyone. I just sat there, numb, trying to figure out if I'd made a mistake. Like, yeah, they were scum. Certified trash bags with eyes. But what if I'd taken it too far? What if people thought I was crazy? What if this whole thing defined me forever? I checked Instagram. Mistake. Someone had posted a blurry photo of me in my black dress walking out, with the caption "Bridezilla meltdown" or "Feminist power move." You decide. And there it was. The internet discourse TM. Half the comments were calling me a legend. The other half said I was bitter, petty, unhinged. My personal fave. She's giving red flag energy. I wanted to throw my phone into the sun. Then came the cherry on top. Lena had posted a black and white selfie, eyes all puffed up like she just lived through a war zone. Captioned, "I never claimed to be perfect, but no one deserves to be publicly humiliated. Please be kind. Mental health matters." Oh, my well. God, this woman slept with my fiance for 6 months. And suddenly she was the victim? She was playing the mental health card now. I was seconds away from rage posting a full-on call-out when Lila called, and bless her chaotic heart, she immediately snapped me out of it. Girl, breathe. Do not post. Let them spiral. Trust me, it'll be way more satisfying. And she was right. Because over the next few hours, the comments on Lena's post turned fast. People started asking questions. Wait, weren't you the maid of honor? Isn't this your best friend's ex? Didn't you sleep with him? Then someone posted a photo of Lena and Ryan from, like, 2 weeks ago, sitting way too close at some cafe, both looking guilty as hell. Her damage control campaign? Dead in the water. That should have made me feel better. It didn't. Because underneath the pettiness and the chaos was grief. Not just for the relationship, but for the friendship. For the version of my life that no longer existed. For the girl I used to be, who believed that love and loyalty were enough. I didn't cry until late that night. I was brushing my teeth, staring at my reflection, and I just broke. Silent, shaking sobs. The kind that sneak up on you. Not because you miss them, but because something sacred was stolen. And you'll never get it back. That's when it hit me. I wasn't mad they betrayed me. I was mad that I ignored all the signs. That I let them both convince me I was being paranoid. That I knew something was wrong and still silenced myself to keep the peace. That kind of anger, it doesn't burn hot. It burns cold. And in that moment, I made a promise. I was done crying over people who'd treat me like I was disposable. Done playing nice. Done shrinking. They got the first act, the next one belonged to me. So what do you do after you nuke your wedding and go viral for it? You rebrand, obviously. I woke up the next morning and made a list. Like a literal handwritten list in my notes app titled Hot Girl Post-Wedding Breakdown Glow Up Agenda. Because if I was gonna spiral, I was at least gonna spiral with a plan. Item 1, get my job back. I'd taken a month off work for the wedding. My boss, Carrie, was a total boss babe with zero tolerance for drama, but she also had a soft spot for girls in crisis. When I called her and explained some of what happened, I left out the envelopes. For now, she paused and then said, "I expect you in the office Monday, and you better be wearing mascara." No crying in the break room. That was basically her version of a hug. I'll take it. Item 2, therapy. Yeah, I finally bit the bullet. Booked a session with a woman named Janet who wore purple glasses and called me honey every 10 minutes. In the first session, I word vomited everything. Ryan, Lena, the betrayal, the fake smiles, the mind games. I cried. I laughed. I apologized for swearing too much. She just handed me tissues and said, "You're not broken. You're waking up." And I swear, that line hit harder than anything I'd read on the internet in months. Item 3, unfollow, block, detox. Every picture of Ryan? Gone. Every post with Lena? Deleted. I unfollowed half the wedding guests too, especially the ones who messaged me things like, "Ugh, I hope you're okay, but like, what's the full tea though? Girl, no, this isn't Bravo. Get out of here." But then out of nowhere he messaged me. No, not Ryan, Noah. Noah as in Ryan's older brother. The hot one with the tattoos and the permanently annoyed expression. The one who never really liked me, but always said hi, with this low-key grumpy politeness that I weirdly found comforting. He messaged, "Hey, just wanted to say I think you handled that whole thing like a damn legend. Hope you're okay." I stared at the message for a full 5 minutes. Legend? Coming from him? Weird, but also not unwelcome. I replied, "Appreciate it. Wasn't exactly my dream day, but I guess I made it memorable." He hit back with, "You made it unforgettable." I've never seen Mom speechless until she saw that envelope. Low-key iconic. Okay, why was I smiling? Was I seriously catching a vibe off the guy whose mom used to side-eye me for drinking oat milk? I shoved my phone under a pillow and told myself to calm down. This was not the time to entertain rebound fantasies. This was the time to drink lemon water and do Healing Girl SHT. But still, when I finally crawled into bed that night, clean sheets, face mask on, a new playlist called Unbothered Slightly Vengeful, I felt something shift. Like maybe, just maybe, this wasn't the end. It was the freaking origin story. Because yeah, I'd been cheated on, betrayed, humiliated in front of 100 people. Okay, so here's the thing. They don't tell you about a breakup that goes nuclear. Once the smoke clears, your brain gets weird. Like, should I bleach my eyebrows or move to Portugal? Weird. It's a dangerous combo of adrenaline, freedom, and a total identity crisis. So naturally, I dyed my hair. Not Portugal-level impulsive, but definitely a statement. I walked into a salon, looked the stylist dead in the eye, and said, "Make me look like I killed my fiance and feel no remorse." He gave me a blunt chop and curtain bangs. Perfect. And somehow, in between booking therapy sessions and blocking mutual friends who were suddenly Team Lena, yes, there were a few absolute clowns, I started to feel something I hadn't in weeks. Alive. Not like, yay, life is amazing, but like, okay, this version of me could actually be dangerous in a hot way. And that's when Noah messaged me again. Just a meme at first, something about wedding fails, super tame. Then another one, a few hours later. And then a, "Hey, wanna get coffee sometime?" Just as friends, or enemies. Whatever vibe you're on. I stared at that one for way too long. Noah had always been this broody mystery, sarcastic, kind of intimidating, never really laughed at anyone's jokes unless he meant it. At family events, he was the guy in the corner with a whiskey and a poker face, while Ryan played beer pong and bragged about his crypto portfolio. Noah was the complete opposite of his brother. Which, honestly, might have been the reason I always noticed him more than I should have. But still, coffee? I was torn. On one hand, absolutely not. That's messy. On the other hand, I invented messy at this point. So I replied, "One coffee. No feelings. No awkward ex talk. Just caffeine and trauma bonding." He replied almost instantly, "Deal. I'll bring emotional support croissants." 2 days later, we met at this low-key cafe in a corner of the city that didn't feel like mine anymore. I wore sunglasses even though it was cloudy, because I needed a buffer between me and the world. Noah was already there when I arrived. Hoodie, black jeans, arms crossed, looking like a walking apology and a warning sign all at once. I sat down. He pushed a croissant toward me. We didn't talk about the wedding. Not at first. We talked about books, dogs, Spotify algorithms, how everyone in their family was low-key terrible at emotional regulation. It was weird and easy, which made it extra weird. Eventually, I asked him straight up, "Why'd you reach out?" He didn't look at me when he said, "Because I've never seen someone do something so painful and still walk out like they won. And because I always thought you deserved better, even before I knew how bad it actually was." That sentence sat between us like a live wire. I didn't know what to say, so I took a bite of the croissant and joked, "Careful, Noah. You keep talking like that and I might start thinking you're the good brother." He smirked. "Maybe I am." And in that moment, I felt something. Not butterflies, not sparks, but a crack in the armor. A dangerous little crack. Because yeah, maybe he was the good brother. Or maybe I was just lonely, broken, and starving for anything that didn't feel like betrayal. Either way, I wasn't ready for what came next. Because this was no longer just about healing. This was about something else entirely. Something that might get messier than everything that came before. So here's a fun little fact. When you go out for coffee with your ex's brother, and you don't immediately burst into tears or throw a latte in his face, your brain does this cute little thing where it's like, maybe we should do that again. And you know what? We did. First it was just more coffee. Then it was a late night walk after work, where we ended up sitting on the hood of his car, eating takeout fries, and roasting bad wedding speeches from YouTube. Then it was him texting me. Made it through dinner with a parental unit. They're still pretending you never existed. 10 weird vibes. I didn't even realize how much I needed someone to say that. To acknowledge it. that I had existed to these people, that I hadn't hallucinated an entire relationship. And the thing with Noah, it felt like breathing. Not fireworks, not a rom-com montage, just simple, real. He never tried to fix me. He never told me to move on or look on the bright side. He just listened. And sometimes, that's louder than anything else. But it wasn't all poetic, emotional depth and warm croissants. There was still so much I hadn't dealt with. Like how Lena kept posting vague quotes on her stories about being misunderstood and people forgetting how much she's hurting. Girl, you hijacked my wedding and now you want sympathy? Miss me with that healing crystal energy. And Ryan? He sent me one more text. Just a screenshot of a comment on my mic drop video that said, "This girl is ruthless. Remind me never to cheat on anyone ever." His message underneath? "Congrats. You officially humiliated me in front of the entire planet. Happy now?" I blocked him so hard my phone vibrated. But still, that tiny voice came creeping in. What if people did think I was crazy? What if Noah was just being nice because he felt guilty? What if all of this, every win, every clapback, every flirty text, was just a shiny distraction from the truth? That maybe I was too much, too loud, too dramatic, too unforgiving. That night, Noah came over, just to drop off a book. Which, okay, sure, very subtle. I opened the door in my comfiest, oversized tee and no makeup, fully expecting a "here's your book, bye" situation. Instead, he just stood there for a second and said, "You look better now than you did at the wedding." I blinked. "You mean when I was in full glam and about to commit social arson?" He shrugged. "Yeah, you look like a statue. A hot one. But now, you look like you." And, okay, maybe it was the way he said it. Or maybe it was the fact that I hadn't been touched by a human being in weeks. But I kissed him. Yep, I kissed Noah, my ex-fiance's brother. And he kissed me back. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't soft. It was messy and raw and made my stomach flip in a way that terrified me. Because I wasn't sure if I kissed him because I wanted him, or because I just wanted to feel like I still existed to someone. And that's when I knew this was either the beginning of something beautiful or the start of an even bigger disaster. The morning after I kissed Noah, I woke up with a literal croissant in bed and a metaphorical red flag waving in my face. Because here's the thing, no one tells you about kissing your ex's brother. You don't just feel guilty, you feel certified batshit for even liking it. He didn't stay the night, to be clear. He kissed me like I was breakable, whispered, "Text me if you need anything," and left before midnight. Gentleman vibes. Torture vibes. Emotionally unsafe vibes. I laid in bed afterward, staring at the ceiling like it held the answers to the universe, asking myself, what are we even doing? Was this revenge? Trauma bonding? A glitch in the Matrix? I mean, yeah, Ryan was trash. Nuclear-grade trash. But this was his brother. The only person he probably hates more than me right now. Which, admittedly, is a little hot in a chaotic neutral way, but also I was spiraling. Lila called later that day, probably sensing my descent into the morally questionable. "I know that tone," she said before I even said hi. "You either made out with someone wildly inappropriate, or you're about to buy a snake." "I didn't buy a snake," I muttered. Silence. Then, no, you didn't. I sighed. "It was just one kiss." "Girl, one kiss is a gateway drug. This is either going to be your sexual awakening or your villain origin story. Can't it be both?" She paused. Honestly, that would be kind of iconic. But, deep down, I knew I was towing a line I didn't fully understand. I wanted to feel good, powerful, desired. Noah made me feel all of that. But he also made me feel safe. And that's what scared me. Because when someone makes you feel safe, after you've been broken, there's a part of you that wants to hand them everything. Heart, soul, PIN code, Spotify password. It's dangerous. A few days later, Noah asked if I wanted to go for a drive. No expectations, he said. Just air, music, and maybe tacos. I said yes, obviously. We ended up at some overlook just outside the city, one of those quiet spots where the skyline looks fake and the stars actually show up for once. He played old school R&B. We sat on the hood of his car, passing a bottle of Coke, like teenagers who weren't absolutely emotionally wrecked. After a while, I asked the question that had been rotting in the back of my head since day one. "Do you hate him?" Noah didn't answer right away. He just stared out at the skyline and said, "I used to. For a long time, for a lot of reasons. But now, I just feel sorry for him. He had something good. He broke it. That's on him." I didn't know what to say to that. So I said the only thing I could. "And Lena?" He grimaced. "I always knew she was fake. I just didn't know she was that fake." There was silence. Then he looked at me. Really looked. Like he was seeing every crack, every scar, and not flinching. You don't owe anyone forgiveness, by the way. Not him. Not her. Not anyone. Just in case people start pressuring you to be the bigger person. Screw that. Be the person who survived. That's when I realized Noah didn't just get me. He respected me. And that was brand new. I wanted to reach for his hand. I didn't. Instead, I whispered, "What do you think this is? You and me?" He looked up at the stars and said, "Honestly, I think it's a slow burn. But I'm not in a rush. You've had enough wreckage for 1 year. Let's just see where it goes." I nodded, and for the first time in what felt like forever, that didn't feel scary. It felt right. But of course, peace never lasts. Because 2 days later, I got a voicemail from Lena, crying, begging, saying she was pregnant, and that I needed to call her back. I stared at my phone like it had personally slapped me across the face. Pregnant? Lena said she was pregnant, and she wanted to talk. Girl, talk to who? We haven't been talk level since you were sneaking into my man's bed behind my back and then crying about your mental health like I ruined your life. I played the voicemail again, just to be sure I hadn't misheard it in some weird post-traumatic hallucination. Her voice was shaky, soft, like she was trying to sound fragile. "Please, I know you hate me, but I didn't know who else to call. I think I'm pregnant, and I don't know what to do. I need to talk to you. Please." Cue full body cringe. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I put my phone on silent, wrapped myself in a blanket like a human burrito, and sat on the floor just processing. She wanted me, the woman she betrayed, lied to, humiliated to what? Offer a shoulder to cry on? A baby shower invite? Absolutely not. But the thing is, I'm not heartless. I wish I was. It would make this whole thing so much easier. So I did what any emotionally exhausted ex-bride would do. I called Lila. She answered on the first ring. I didn't even say hi. I just said, "She's pregnant." Long pause. Then, oh hell no, I told her the whole thing. The voicemail. The voice. The nerve. Layla was instantly ready to fight God and Lena in the same breath. Is she trying to guilt trip you? What does she even want from you? Moral support? A baby name suggestion? I don't know, I muttered. But I think I need to know if it's real. And unfortunately, that meant I had to face the demon. So I texted Lena. One line. "If you're not lying again, meet me at the cafe on 5th. Tomorrow. Noon. Don't be late," she replied in under a minute. "Thank you. You won't regret this." Oh honey. I was already regretting this. The next day, I showed up early, wearing all black like I was attending the funeral of our friendship, which, let's be honest, I kind of was. I sat at the corner table, sipping bitter coffee and rehearsing all the ways I wouldn't let her gaslight me into sympathy. She walked in 10 minutes late, of course. No makeup. Oversized hoodie. Hair in a bun. Looking very oops I stole your fiance and got knocked up about it. She sat down across from me and immediately burst into tears. I didn't reach for her hand. Didn't say a word. Just stared and waited for the performance to end. When she finally spoke, her voice cracked. "I didn't plan this. It's not what you think." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, cool. Then it must be worse." She flinched. "It's not Ryan's." Pause. I blinked. "Excuse me?" She shook her head, wiping her face. "It's not his. I thought it was at first, but I went to the doctor. And the dates don't line up. It's someone else." I sat back, jaw locked. "So why the hell are you calling me about it?" "Because I don't have anyone else. Everyone hates me now. Ryan hasn't spoken to me since the wedding. My parents think I ruined my life. And I did. I did, okay? I know I deserve this. I didn't know who else to turn to. That's when I realized something. She didn't want forgiveness. She wanted relief. She wanted to offload her shame onto me so she could feel a little less like the villain. And honestly, not my job." I leaned forward, calm as ever. "You're right. You did ruin your life. And I didn't have to lift a single finger to make that happen. You did that all on your own." She blinked at me, mouth slightly open. "And as for support?" I continued. "Call your mom. Call literally anyone else. I'm not your friend. I'm the girl you betrayed. This isn't a redemption arc. It's your rock bottom." I stood up. "You're not my responsibility anymore, Lena. I hope you figure your SHT out. But I won't be part of the cleanup." And I walked out.